Hey, what's up guys? It's Rick with the Digital Divide, and today we're going to be taking a look at the game Skull and Bones. I was lucky enough to get invited to the closed beta over the weekend for this game. If you're not familiar with Skull and Bones, this game started off as a spin-off to Assassin's Creed Black Flag. There's a really good article on GameRant.com where they go over the troubled development history of this game. It was originally announced in 2017, so 6 years ago, and has been delayed many times. So understandably, there's a lot of concern about the troubled development and whether or not the game is going to pan out. So I figured we'd go ahead and check the game out and see how it's progressing so far and whether or not I think it's worth picking up when it does come out shortly. This game does use the Ubisoft Anvil engine. Alright, so first things first, I'm running this game on an RTX 3070 with 8 gigs of VRAM, and I'm going to jump into the settings here and see what it defaulted me to. I know this game does use ray-traced effects, I think for global illumination. It looks like it supports borderless or bordered window modes, but no exclusive full screen. They've got a FPS cap here. I'm running the game at 4K. It looks like it defaulted to ultra high for everything. There is an adaptive quality setting here that will reduce the frame rate when necessary. I'm just going to turn that off. They do support a variety of upscaling types. I'm going to use NVIDIA DLSS set to quality mode, and I'm just going to max out everything here. Everything's going to be on or set to high settings with ray traced global illumination set to on as well, and we'll see how the game runs.
The dawn of capitalism, when corporations as mighty as nations rule the seas and dominate the world's valuable trade routes. With an iron fist, they forge a path of tyranny and exploitation, igniting a battle for global supremacy. From the Indian Ocean, a flood of exotic goods feed new addictions and fill coffers with coins tainted in blood. And where there is blood, there are predators.
Okay, so the game opens with you in the middle of the ocean fighting the British fleet, and you're a pirate of sorts in this ship. As you can see, if you've played Assassin's Creed Black Flag or any of the Assassin's Creed titles that have ship combat, you'll be very familiar. Essentially, this game is just taking that concept and making it into an entire game, and I'm not convinced that that's going to work. But we'll see. We'll go ahead and tinker around here. Controls are pretty easy. It's just your standard WASD. So looks like we're just floating around, and it looks like we're jumping into a battle that's already happened because there's a bunch of ships here on fire, as you can see. So it looks like something went down here, and there's a British ship. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna get our first taste of combat here. Alright, I'm just going to try ramming this tiny little ship to see if it does anything. And it didn't do anything, although the top of it lit up for some reason. I guess it's indicating that that is a enemy ship. So let's turn around and see if I can blow it to smithereens with my cannons. So you can see if you hold the right mouse button, you zoom in, and for whatever reason there are bright red explosive canisters on top of all of these ships begging to be shot at. So we've blown that guy up, and let's see if we can find any other ships here. Yeah, I mean, these are all already sunken ships.
Battle station!
Halt, Nino!
So far the game is running incredibly well, even with ray traced global illumination on and all of the settings maxed out at 4K. The gameplay is a little slow because you are moving at a very slow pace. Oh, here's some ships. Okay, so it looks like the rest of the British fleet is on their way, and I'm supposed to take them down. So essentially all you're doing is strafing around these ships, shooting them until they explode, and then moving on to the next location. I'm hoping that the game expands beyond that. One of the things that made Assassin's Creed so fun is that you had a really wide variety of situations and things that you could do, most of which take place on land, and then you have these boat segments that are an added inclusion to give you some variety. But when you take away everything else other than just the ship combat, I don't know that that's going to hold up over the course of a full-length game, but we'll see. Looks like the big boy ships are arriving now. Alright, so the elite British warship has arrived along with a bunch of support ships, so I need to take all of them out. And again, the best strategy here is if you look towards the rear of each ship, there is like a red explosive canister. I would just aim for that, and then you can take them down with relative ease. And I think that the ship that I'm piloting is also an elite class ship. When you think about these types of games too long, though, it doesn't make a ton of sense how your ship can withstand so many shots from these dozens and dozens of British warships, but theirs kind of blow up after just a few. So you gotta leave your logic at the door when you start this game. It's meant to just be enjoyed for what it is. So far, though, the gameplay seems a bit simplistic for me. You know, the water effects here aren't bad, but they're not super impressive either. If you've played other sea-based games, there's one made by Rare called Sea of Thieves that has probably the most impressive water I've seen in a video game, and that came out years ago. So it's kind of disappointing that this game is, you know, coming out in 2024 and doesn't quite match the quality of that game, which came out years and years and years ago. But that said, the visuals are not horrible. I mean, the water looks great. It's not the best looking I've seen, but it does look really, really good. I kind of wish, because this game is so based on bodies of water that are reflective, I wish they included ray traced reflections. I think that would have been a nice addition here. So I gotta say that if you're watching this footage, it probably looks very exciting and action-packed, but the act of actually playing it is quite boring so far. I mean, your ship moves so slowly, and so far the game is fairly repetitive. I'm just circling these ships, holding down the mouse button until the ship blows up, and then aiming for the next one, repeat and rinse over and over again. So far, unfortunately, it seems that my initial thought on this premise is panning out to be true, where I just don't know if the ship combat alone is enough to sustain an entire game. You know, I will say this game is very well optimized. It runs beautifully. Given the performance I'm seeing here, I expect that the console versions will run flawlessly. Likely with FSR2 enabled at 4K, but as far as performance is concerned, I think you're going to be a happy camper regardless of the platform that you are playing on. I did get the option to choose which platform I wanted to participate in for the beta, and I chose PC just because I wanted the best visual experience. Okay, so I destroyed the elite ship, and now there's like 5 more of them. And this is not looking well for me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die here. So it says matchmaking. I did not know that this game was an online multiplayer game, so I assume it is going to populate my world with other real players, although I don't know how extensive my interaction is going to be with them if we're on separate ships. We'll see here. Alright, so it looks like your character survived the attack and is now stranded on an island. So hopefully we will now get some on-foot action. That'll be interesting, and that'll add some variety. Okay, so it looks like we're getting into the player creation mode. That's an interesting way to do it, with the puddle of water showing your character's face. They get some points for creativity here. I gotta say, right off the bat, I'm not impressed by the presets that they have here. They're pretty generic looking. But we'll just quickly pick something. I'm not going to get too in-depth with the character creation tool here because I mostly just want to get familiar with the gameplay and see if it's going to be fun. But it looks like they let you adjust the skin tone, body type, tattoos, eye color, hair, that sort of thing. This is your typical character creation set, it seems, although I don't know how important character creation is when you don't see your character ever. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe you do see your character a lot. We'll find out here in a minute. I think I'm just going to stick with this guy. And, you know, I'm just going to leave the presets mostly intact. I just want to take a look at some of the hair options here. I always like a good mustache when I create my characters, but I'm gonna go with the beard here. I mean, I know this guy looks pretty generic as is, but I don't want to spend too much time with the character creation, so I'm gonna move on to the gameplay here.
Take my hand. You're not dying today. Fate's thrown you a twist, friend. Freeman's luck must truly be on your side.
Lad, the British and the folk be them. I blame Captain Rust for steering us to this cursed ship.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and skip through this cutscene, because again, my focus here is just on gameplay. I want to see what you can expect. So this water looks beautiful, actually, because it's completely clear. You can see the coral reefs below. That's a nice touch. So this part looks really, really nice, I'd say. Although, again, I wish they had ray traced reflections, but the SSR solution here is implemented pretty well. So already this ship, this tiny little ship, controls much, much worse than the big one that I started off with, which is odd because you'd think this little one would be more nimble, but the wind is kind of blowing it all over the place. Despite the fact that I'm leaning left, my ship is being blown almost completely right, which is annoying, but you're kind of fighting with the controls a little bit to keep it on course. But it looks like there's an island here populated with other real characters based on the names there that are popping up above them. So I'm gonna see if I can dock on this island and see what level of interactivity the on-foot segments have. So right off the bat, this is really, really tiny. You can't explore the entire island. It's just this tiny, tiny little patch of island where it looks like you can cook food and maybe have brief conversations with these NPCs, and that's pretty much it based on what I'm seeing here. I can't cook anything because I'm lacking the ingredients, but this is a little bit disappointing. I was hoping that you'd be able to explore more of the island maybe set up a base camp of sorts and then revisit it later with, leave some provisions there, something along those lines. But no, it looks like the on-island segments are really, really limited to like a small patch of land. So it doesn't look like there's much that you can do on that island, at least. So let me explore. Looks like I can check out the Exeter shipwreck, which is one of the elite British ships that I blew up. That'll be really cool to explore that ship and check out the insides and get some loot. So we're going to head over to the Exeter and see if we can explore the shipwreck and find some goodies in here. Okay, it's telling me that I can't explore the shipwreck because I need a crowbar level 1, which I do not have. So let's keep going and see what else we can find. It looks like there is another island over here. Alright, looks like there's another undiscovered island, so we're going to go explore this island and see what we can find. There's a bunch of birds flying overhead, so maybe there's dead people on this island, who knows, but let's look for some treasure and see what we can find. Okay, so we're on East Island. It says that it's... Interestingly enough, it says that this island was undiscovered, but it's clearly populated, so other people discovered it before I did. And it seems that most of the islands are basically just the same exact thing. I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed. You get on an island and there's like 30 feet that you can walk around in where you can cook or just look at NPCs dancing. It's like the same 4 NPC models dancing, and then you can cook. And that's about it based on the 2 islands that I have discovered so far. So this is just not doing it for me, guys. I'm going to jump back onto the open waters, but honestly, I think I've seen enough of this game at this point. I gotta say, based on my initial impressions, this game is an absolute bore so far, if this closed beta is any indication, but who knows, maybe they'll add more variety to it. But so far, based on this 6-year development time, I expected this game to be a lot more fleshed out than it is. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of this first look at the game, and if you plan on picking it up. As always, thank you for watching.